Hello everybody, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year, or whichever holiday you happen to celebrate. I hope you have a joyous and festive one. Since this is my last video of the year, I decided to show off my Christmas decorations here, wear a rather festive sweatshirt I recently received for running a 5K, and talk about something Christmas, historically speaking. What to talk about, though, of course. Well, since I talked about the War of 1812 last week, I thought I'd wrap it up with the Peace of Christmas Eve. That's right, the treaty that ended the War of 1812, the Treaty of Ghent, signed on Christmas Eve, 1814, so nicknamed the Peace of Christmas Eve. Now, what can be said about this treaty? I wrote a 100-page master's thesis on it, so surely I have a lot to say. Well, in truth, I actually don't at this moment. There's really not that much to say about the peace treaty. It's pretty straightforward and simple. It's a page or two, depending on how it's printed. And all it really says is that the British and the Americans will return to the relationship they had before the war started. All previous agreements will be acknowledged, and everything will be just like it was. So, what's the point of such a deal that just ends fighting? Well, therein lies the significance, the nuance of the Treaty of Ghent, the Peace of Christmas Eve. It is a treaty that ended something. For 40 years, from the time of the Revolution to the time of the War of 1812, the United States and the British found themselves in contentious relations, with France being the third party in many instances. The three sort of tangled. The Napoleonic Wars, of course, exacerbating these situations. What the Treaty of Ghent does is it marks a time when the United States and the British simply decide to stop fighting each other. There were sure contentious issues over the years since then, but pretty much since then the United States and the British have got along on some level, found some sort of alliance with each other. Being two major naval powers they would become over the years, they often had common ground, and the Treaty of Ghent is sort of the basis for that, sort of the end of fighting between the two. Sometimes it's not necessarily what something says or what it directly says, but it's what it signifies, what it begins. So yes, the Treaty of Ghent, though not a significant treaty in terms of its content or what it concedes or what it adds to one side or the other, but more significant in how it vastly changes the relationship between two nations. Now, the United States and the British didn't get on right away. They didn't become instant fast friends, but there was sort of an understanding between each other, and post-Civil War, the United States and British would become very close allies, which they still are to this day. So yes, this is how the relationship changed, how it altered, how things came to be how they are now. People look at the United States and the British today as two very close allies. And that had to come from somewhere, since eventually it was colonial master and colony, and they didn't get along at all. And this is how it came to be. So, the Treaty of Ghent doesn't say much, but it adds a lot to the conversation on the relationship between the British and the Americans. Well, I guess that's all for this year. I won't have time to do video for a couple weeks, so thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed just a little historical perspective.